season coming to an end, so how's it been looking for the season?
It's generally been a pretty good season when you compare it to the previous season, which was a really elevated season. Last 2 years have been at very high levels to where we've been historically. We started this year above where we ended the last season at, and for the first half of it up to Christmas, we were well above those levels. Since Christmas, we've had a bit of a slide over all types. A lot of that is currency driven, but a lot of it is the Chinese circumstances.
As in?
That China has basically shut down in a lot of areas. They have a credit crunch. The government is trying to tighten up their whole economy. At the moment, there is a surfeit of stock, particularly in coarse wools, sitting in China. There's a lot of tops around in fine wools, so we're just seeing a major blockage. And we saw that start last October. You may recall we mentioned that they hadn't renewed a lot of the quota, which they normally release back onto the market. And they stopped doing that then. Since then, it's been quite a struggle. We've been hand to mouth in China, and China takes over 50% of New Zealand's wool, of all types, and over 75% of Australian wool. Now, the finer sector, the mid-micron and merino sector, is still actually ticking along reasonably well. It is anything coarser than, say, 28, 29 microns in all areas is now starting to struggle.
So is that the same thing as China and the share market and trying to bring that back to reality? Is that this?
It's all tied in with the whole thing, yes. And now there's been a major slowdown. So you have a lot of what we'd say were the fly-by-night and fringe players up there that were really playing the market to their advantage. A lot of traders where they're sitting in the middle, they're facilitating sales, so they have contacts with government, they have contacts with local authority, they have the mill contacts, so they will tie the banking together with a mill and sit in the middle and purchase out of our market, Australian market, and then trade it out. They're not actually processors themselves, so you have this whole swathe of those types of operators that have been effectively overstocking the market. Now, a lot of the wools that have been going to China have gone through the processing pipeline to the point that they're either tops or some form of fabric or product. Now, what's happening is a lot of that fabric and product is being returned back to the manufacturer. So they're choked. They have no storage. They have partly processed or processed stocks in their stores, and it just stops them bringing in more greasy wool at the moment. So there's another compounding factor, of course, and it's our currency. New Zealand dollar is at the highest level against our four main trading currencies, which is the US, Euro, Sterling and Australian dollar. And for this whole 12 months, we're basically at the highest points we've been in the 12 months.
Probably too early to tell, but if the UK disappears out of the EU, is that likely to affect you guys?
It will have some impact, and it'll be around the currency relationship more than anything else. The actual wool usage side in Europe and the UK has been quite steady. In fact, they've been picking up a lot of the slack where the Chinese haven't been active. It will, depending on which way it goes, it will either make it a little bit tougher than what it is today. We don't see it as a major hurdle, really, because Europe, it seems to be quite a steady market, especially over the last 4 or 5 months. They have sort of come back to wool again in New Zealand wool. So they've been underpinning things where the Chinese have been out of the market.
So yeah, it's going to be, you guys never walk away from a fight anyways.
We can't. I mean, wool keeps coming at us every day of the week. Yeah. We're into what we'd say is overall the quieter time of the year. There's a bit of a transition happens now. The coarse wools are in less abundance as we come into the colder temperatures. It's more the merinos and mid-micron shearing season. That all gets away in the next few weeks. So while it's a bit quieter and the demand for crossbred wool is at perhaps its lowest point for some time, it's opportune that there's not a lot of that around.
Yeah, that's good. So
we're hoping that over the next 3 months while the fine wools are coming on the market, and they're the ones that are, if there is a hot sector in the market, that's the hot sector. They're becoming on the market, so all the elements in that area are quite good. Looking forward though, unless China really gets the stockpile out of their pipeline, there's a bit of a question mark over where we're going to go when next season's will come on.
So that's your projection at the moment?
At the moment, I would be really looking to China to see what's happening if I'm a grower. If I have anything on the market in the meantime that is lamb's wool, hogget wool, composite wool, coarse crossbred wool, I would seriously be looking at meeting the market at the moment or taking a real punt and holding it on farm for several months. And that's quite a big call.
That is a big call because it's sort of cash flow and bankers and things, isn't it?
It is, and of course now wool at the level we're at is actually a reasonable return to farmers. You know, most things at the moment on a clean basis for crossbreds are over $5 to close to $6 in that range, depending on colour and length and all the other characteristics that go with it. So historically, it's still a good return. People are looking towards lamb's wool, where last year some types were getting $7. Now they're back to $5.50, and they're sort of saying, "Oh, wait a minute, I want $7 still." Well, unfortunately, the $7 market is gone because the $7 market was China.
Yeah, but they'll come back. I guess you've got to work smarter when things get tight.
Definitely, and you've heard me say before, and it's been in the media around wool this season, vegetable matter has been a major problem this year, and it's a result of the climatic conditions we've had over the last few months. There's a lot of coarse wool with high vegetable matter in it. Farmers and contractors really need to concentrate on this at the moment, because anything that is faulted will be receiving serious discounts as we go forward, because there's just so much of it on the market. When times are tough, you need to actually do a better job than when times are not so tough, because when things are buoyant, we can basically find a home for everything. When it's not buoyant, you become very picky about what you spend your money on.
And you can't rely on the scours to whistle all that seed out.
On short wools, that's anything shorter than 3 to 4 inches, it normally goes on a woolen system, so it gets hardly any combing at all to remove that seed. The scours do some opening, but they basically take a little bit out, but generally spread it wider rather than actually remove a heck of a lot of it. So it makes the product quite visually not good, especially if you put it into pastel products. You can see all the little seed specks all through it, and that's not a good look.
No,
so
it's not. You can't sort of use that as an advantage, can you?
Not at all. On combing, on longer wools where it's combed more, the seed can come out of it better. But even then, on carpet types, 0.2, 0.3 maximum. After that, you're starting to look at getting some serious discounts. And depending on the type and the length, it can easily be $1 a kilogram.
Whew. So, yeah, preparation.
Preparation is definitely the main thing to do. The other thing that happens, particularly in the deep south, is the skirting can sometimes be a bit minimal. Muddy tips and wool, really need to watch out for that. You also need to do tighter skirting. If the body fleece wool looks quite good and you're leaving the skirts on and they're discoloured, that can knock the price and also the usability of it. So it's all about attention.
It is indeed. Malcolm, thank you very much indeed.